Looks like we're live with the Health, Love, and Life show with Coach Arnie. I am here. It's Thursday. It is a little after 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's 10 p.m. On the East Coast. So we are going to have a little fun tonight. We're going to talk about working with youngsters. I shouldn't say youngsters. Maybe it's because I'm old, but because some of these youngsters are like 40 now. So we're going to talk about that. But don't forget to check me out on different social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Would love to hook up with you. There's my phone number, 602-390-9144. You can email me, you can call me, you can text me. I'm a big believer in communication, so my job is to find which way works for you. So for me, a phone call or a text works pretty doggone good. I had somebody the other day that every once in a while I get this, but I have to learn as well because they like to spend a lot of time on Facebook, which I don't, because I have to go in and check. First, if I get a text, I know, or an email, I'll go and check my email, but a phone call, or I had somebody this afternoon, I was making some calls for my workshop, and I was tracking this guy down because he's changed jobs, same phone number, changed companies, and I was just trying to figure it all out, working on a strategy for getting a hold of him. And he saw that there were 2 phone calls that had been made there. So he called me and he goes, "Hey, it looks like I missed a couple calls there." I said, "You did." I said, "I was just trying to figure out where to best connect with you at and what you're exactly doing." And so we talked for a few minutes. I wasn't able to help him, but obviously the phone worked for him. I mean, to get a phone call back, I had as we're morphing into our topic today, I had a gentleman at the beginning of the week who I've got to connect with somebody tonight or tomorrow. And he goes, "Arnie, I can't get a hold of this guy. He's a young guy. He's supposed to be doing this. He knows my son, and he hasn't gotten back to me. And so we've been calling his parents." And I'm going, "Oh, boy." And so all on back and forth. And I said, "Well, why don't you give me his phone number and let me get a hold of him?" He goes, "Well, I go, "First of all, let me help you here because this is what I do." I go, "What have you done so far?" "Well, we've left him some messages." I go, "Well, let me help you. This generation does not do voicemail. So you're kind of wasting your time. Most of them don't even have it set up." Now, did I say all? No, I said most. Most don't even have it set up. I rarely leave a message for a millennial or Gen Z unless I know specifically that they check their voicemail. I just don't do it. I'll get frustrated, so I don't do it. So it's text, Facebook. I find out what it is. What's the best way? Facebook or text or call. That's it. And you have to find out what works for you or for them. It's important. So I talked to him. So it was Monday. So then I talked to him on Wednesday. I go, "How'd it go?" He goes, "Oh, we got a hold of him." See, and I didn't want them to have to be called. I didn't want mommy and daddy getting on this guy. So I said, "Stop doing that. I don't care if he lives or not. Get a hold of him." And they did, and everything was fine. Everything worked out, but he kind of chuckled about it. But the idea is that we got to find what works best. And some of the things I'm going to say tonight regarding millennials and Gen Z, they really apply to everybody. And I think I've learned more from a mentor of mine, Joe Pesci, Pesci, because he doesn't treat anybody any different. Now, but he's in a position that he doesn't have to worry about that as well. But when he's working with you, he will figure out how to communicate with you. But he's not going to go chase you. Okay? So he's in that position. A lot of us aren't. So we have to figure out if I want that person, how do I attract that person? How do I get that business? And that's one of the things that I've learned and have taught in when we're trying to attract business. So what I want to do tonight is just go over like, five, let's see how many got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 different things. And we'll probably morph into some other ones, but 9 different topics on how to communicate, how to understand millennials and Gen Z. But I want to first do a little generation workshop because this is the first time in our history, and I've known this now for going on 4 years. But this is the first time in our history that we have 5 generations in the workplace. Yeah. Let's start at the top. We have the greatest generation. These are individuals that were born before 1946. They were the greatest generation because they were in World War II. There's no World War I folks left. I don't think so. Some were in Korea. Some were in Vietnam. So they've gone through depressions. They've gone through bankruptcies. They've gone through world wars. They've gone through every possible craziness you can imagine. They've been punched in the face more often than anybody else. Yeah, they really have. Then you have the baby boomers. And for many years in workshops, I called the baby boomers, because my generation, the more spoiled generation, because we were children of the greatest generation. And most of our parents grew up in the Depression. They didn't want us to go through all that. So they gave us stuff, if they could. My parents didn't have a lot, but my mom worked so hard to give us things, opportunity. Now, she wanted to be appreciated. Let me tell you that right now. But she got us things. They worked really hard to make Christmas with no money. Because I know what my parents, with no money, they worked so hard to make Christmas special. They're way beyond me on that. And they just worked hard at it. It was important to them because they didn't have anything. And so they appreciated stuff. Just a very special generation, which is why they're so special. And they need to be respected more than any other person in your life. And I've worked with them my whole life, for 34 years. I was talking to a retired nurse today, 86 years old. She's working as a caregiver for a friend. And I was talking to her. She was dancing. She was spry. She was teasing me about giving her some things to do, some exercise. She was doing lunges. And I thought, man, you are awesome. We had a great talk about just life. 86, full of vim and vigor. And I love it. Just a pistol. But there they are. They're the greatest generation in history. So they're there. They're still working. She's not technically, but she is. She is working. She's working as a caregiver. Now, so the boomers, spoiled rotten. That's us. We were the yuppies in the 70s and 80s. Then we started having kids, what they call the boom boom kids. But we didn't discover divorce. We just made it better. Because the greatest generation first went through the divorce thing in the 60s and 70s when women stopped marrying for love. For security. I'm going somewhere with this, so hang on. But started to marry for love. So it just started this whole divorce process, which really somewhat out of control. But it's moving along here, which is why we have almost 50% fatherless homes right now situated. And that's another whole show. So, boomers, spoiled rotten. Okay? Gen X. Gen X is small, but they're critical. They're kind of like, I'll call them the bridge generation. They figured out how stuff worked. You know, they built the computers. That's your Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They built computers from the ground up. They built things. They tinkered. They were and I think that's why they call them Gen X, because they were just building things, figuring things out. And they were small. There's not a big Gen X population here. And I believe they were born after 1965, and they were up until 1980. So the oldest or the youngest Gen Xer is 40. The oldest is 55, right in there. Okay. So yeah, they're the tinkerers. They're the tinkerers, fixing things. And then you have the millennials, who have been driving people crazy for a while, and for a number of different reasons. But you know, as I start to really look into this, because I've been talking about it for so long, they're really no different than boomers. Boomers just like to say that they're better, because we still have to deal with discipline. Yeah. I was talking to a Gen Xer today. I said, in my day, if we said something like that, I got the back of the hand or a belt. Wouldn't even be a thought. Today, they'll throw you in jail for that kind of stuff. But it wouldn't have been a thought in my generation. Good God. I can't tell you how many times I got knocked around. School, you didn't do it. I mean, I remember the little kid when they pull out that big paddle, man. You did not want to screw around anymore after that. They can't do that anymore. So kids know that. So they're on to things, and they're kind of spry about all that stuff. So, but they're really no different, except that if you think that the boomers got spoiled by their parents, the boom booms got really spoiled, which are the millennials, because we didn't tell them no. I don't bitch and moan about millennials, because we created them. Yeah, we created the boom booms. We didn't tell them no. We went along with the whole trophy thing. We thought it was stupid, but whatever. It's nice. He gets a trophy. You know, we didn't tell him no. A lot of broken homes, so we made sure that everybody liked each other, and so we gave them lots of things that we could. Grandma and Grandpa jumped in there and doubled down on that. So you have a generation that took spoiled to the next level. Yeah. Now, everybody thinks that they're super technical and stuff like that. Not so much. They're tech dependent. Like when I talk to my youngest, she doesn't know how things work. She's not a Gen Xer. She didn't tear things down. Although a lot of millennials did go into coding, because that was the big thing 15 years ago, but not everybody did. Now everybody's a coder, so there's no one's going into that anymore. But they're tech dependent, which means they're dependent on that phone. They're dependent on their TV, their iPad. They're dependent on stuff. And they drive their parents bonkers. I mean, I hear from parents all the time, it's that phone's fault. So they take that away first. Whereas in my generation, it was your friends, which I still believe it is. I mean, we are the product of the 5 closest people we surround ourselves. That's forever. But we have a tendency with the millennials to take away their stuff. And now let's go one level up, Gen Z, which are born after 1995. Now with Gen Zs, and their parents are Gen X. So now Gen X, so 40 to 55, they're having these younger kids. And now you have millennials that are having, so you have their parents are millennials and Gen X. So we're kind of doubling down all the way around again, making sure they have more. but they've got other things that they're bringing into the mix: diversity, all these other emotions as well. And so what we have then is a complicated mess, because with the Gen Zers now, they are not, they're just not tech dependent, but they know how this stuff works. I mean, they are social media savvy. They know how, TikTok and Twitter and Snapchat and LinkedIn, they know how this stuff works. They're good. They know how to integrate YouTube videos and they're amazing. So they've taken the tech dependent to a new level. Some people have called the Gen Zers the millennials on steroid. Yeah. And again, spoiled rotten. We've done it. So I was the most spoiled, but I'm not sure if I was any now after doing this, but it doesn't matter because their parents were never told no. So now they're having a hard time telling these folks no. But here's the thing I know about Gen Z. They understand when something's a little dumb. Like they know when mom and dad are full of baloney. And they'll call them on it. It's pretty amazing. So those are your 5 generations. And so you can have in a workplace, and I've actually worked with an insurance office where they had, back when this started, because you had a college graduate, 21, 22. You had millennials in their mid-30s. You had a Gen Xer in their mid to late 40s. You had a boomer in their late 50s. And then you had maybe 1 or 2 greatest generation in their 70s. Very possible, right? It is. And then you had to get them to work together and not be judgmental. Now, the problem that everybody can be judgmental, it just seems to me, and I'm just making an observation, that a lot of Gen Z are very, very, I'm going to throw in there the millennials as well, very judgmental. Look, they were raised the most diverse population in history. Are you kidding me? Gen Zers had a black president for 8 years. So did millennials. Yeah. Most millennials were in college or high school. Most Gen Zers were in grade school or high school. Yeah. So, very diverse, but they can be very judgmental, meaning that if you don't see the world from their point of view, they will judge you. It's not fair, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. So, that was kind of a little snapshot, a little history walk down history lane on generations. So the idea then is, how do we get all these generations to work together? And you can, because they all have amazing, unique skills. They do. Amazing skills. And if you can harness that energy in a group, holy crap, you can do some great things. If you can, utilizing the savvy of the Gen Z, the ability to weave in videos and, maybe go get an interview with Britney Spears or whatever they might do. The millennials are all about, creating this amazing project and and then the Gen Xer guy can make it all work right. They all have unique skills, so important to know. Let's we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. This is the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. And we'll be right back. Okay, so let's just start nailing some of these things here. First thing first with Gen Zers and millennials in the workplace, we got to make them feel safe. Now, maybe I'm going to jump ahead to number 9. All the research, you do a ton of research right now, and you're not going to see anything on the last 3-4 months. A little bit. But you're not going to see that. And this is why it's important. Remember what I said earlier? The greatest generation, they got punched in the face more than anybody else. Depression, world wars, Vietnam, Korea. Just crazy stuff. The millennials had to deal with 9/11. That was pretty dramatic. The Gen Zers haven't dealt with anything. They were too young for 9/11, and everything else has been pretty doggone good. They don't even remember much about the whole crash of 2007 and 8. I mean, maybe a little bit. They didn't get their toys or something. But for the most part, this has been the first time that they got rattled. And they haven't done well with it. It's very traumatic. And I have a feeling, well, as I study mental illness, mental health, I'm just noticing there's going to be a lot of trauma. Anxiety is way up. Yeah, you're right, Johnny. Anxiety is way up. Suicides are way up. So there's a lot of problems here that are under the current. But I think once this is all said and done, we're going to be dealing with a mental health train wreck. And mainly is because we haven't given them the tools to deal with it yet in life. They've never been told no. Hence, they got the nickname snowflakes because of sensitivity. But I think every generation, the more I study things, has been sensitive. I mean, boomers were sensitive. We just didn't have anything. I mean, we were spoiled, but we didn't have any technology to be spoiled with. We still had to go out and play. My mom still throws outside and said, be back before the street lights are on. We still drank out of the cooler hose. We still did stupid stuff on the playgrounds. We still did all this crazy stuff. Like I said, I mean, I used to walk to school, when I was 5 or 6. Well, I walked to school my whole life, in kindergarten. So there was none of that fear of I'm going to get stolen. We used to hitchhike. Just goofy stuff that we never even thought about it. And I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't grow up with a 24/7 news cycle that would have scared my mom to death. I'm just glad I didn't do that. We played ball all summer long. We went swimming and just stuff because we didn't have anything else. The only video game we had when I was in high school was called Pong. Boing, boing, boing. That was it. We do that for like 10 minutes and go back and go swim. So yes, we were spoiled, but this kind of spoiled is a little different. We've taken it up a couple notches here, which is why I say Gen Z or millennials on steroids. And so they want to feel safe, whether it's at home or at work. And so if they don't feel safe, they'll leave. They'll quit. Millennials will too. I think millennials are a little bit more emotional. Little. But they're because they're looking for, like I said, to feel safe. They don't want to, they don't want to be dealing with sexual harassment. They don't want to be dealing with a virus. This is the punch in the face for the Gen Z. All these entrepreneurs are now looking for something else to do. So they're having to learn how to deal with this stuff. So yeah, feeling safe is important. And we're still struggling with this because a lot of businesses are trying to go back to work, and you've got a pushback from people that want to work from home still. And in that situation, you have to teach people how to work hard. You got to relearn how to work, because it's easy to kind of sleep in and go to work in your underwear. And but I guess if you're effective, it doesn't matter, which is why I was talking to a office furniture person today, and they're dealing with a lot of chaos out there because a lot of businesses are downsizing. They don't need all that office space. So that's going to affect the business, commercial business, and because these things are all dynamic, they're all changing, they're all kind of related. So they got to feel safe. That's important. That's why I put it number one. If they don't feel safe, they're going to leave. They won't stick around. So number two, how we want to help them. They want to be helped to belong. They want to feel like they're part of a cause. Now, millennials really want to be part of a cause. They want to think and believe that their business is bigger than themselves. They want to know, hey, we're building wells and we're digging wells in Africa. We are contributing to solving global warming. We want to create sustainability program. They want to know that they're doing something important. And that's why they'll leave your job. Money's not the big thing. They'll go somewhere else where they feel important. They feel like they're part of something important, that they belong to something important. It's true. They want to be part of something. Now, you can do that in your own job. It's up to you how you shape the vision of what you're doing. Because I think all businesses are important. Okay. And so I think that's a big deal. But it is a big deal to them. So let's talk about, they would also like access to coaching, mentorship. They realize that they probably will need help. We all do. They just want to know, is it okay for me to find somebody? They don't want you to tell them who to talk to. They want to figure it out. They want to find somebody. They just want to be able to do it where they work. They want to have access to that. They want to. There's something called skilling going on right now. They know, Gen Z especially, they know that they have to keep learning new skills because they continually jump from job to job, and they have to learn how to, whether it's computer skills, they're amazing, but they're continuing to learn new things. Yeah. So they're reskilling themselves all the time. They're also the greatest DIY generation. And they've taught me this. I had a Gen X client, and he's taught me to be a DIY on YouTube. I don't know how many times I've done that. Look things up on YouTube. Show me how to do it. Just keep playing it back and forth till you figure it out. Does it always work? No. Most of the time it does. At least it gives me enough information that I can go find somebody and I can show them exactly what they need to do to help me. Yeah. So these are all things that they're interested in getting help, getting mentorship, getting help learning a new school, maybe going back to school. I don't know. But whatever is important to them. Whatever is important to them. Now, the next point here is they want to be shown how to work. What are you talking about? They want to learn how to be resilient. They're looking at some older guy like me and in the workplace, and he's married and he's got kids and grandkids, and they're trying to figure out how's he doing all this stuff. And maybe he's doing a triathlon or marathon or something, where he's rebuilding a car in his garage, and they're going, how's this guy time to do all this stuff? And they want a mentor, a friend, to show them that they can do this stuff as well. They just have to learn how to not just work hard, but work smart. So I talked to a guy this week, and he's got a 29-year-old. He's a two-man operation, because I was talking about my workshop. And he goes, yeah, I got lucky. I'm 67. I had a guy that worked with me when I was a kid. And this young man, he works hard. He's got all the right tools. And he wants me to help him. So I'm mentoring him. And, it's just a joy to help somebody that works hard and is receptive to it. Comes to work hungry, wants to learn. Something tells me he might be running that company. Yeah, talk about these. What an opportunity, right? I was talking to another guy. He has a huge property management company, and he's having trouble with community manager. They're the ones that are the liaison between the homeowners and the board. And so they're kind of hitting the ceiling and they want to quit and this and that. And one of the ideas I threw at them, I said, why don't you, because it's happened, why don't you tell these folks that they can build their own company? They can leave your company, build their own company, go out and bird dog. That's my word. Go out and find clients. Don't take yours. Go out and find new ones. Okay, think about this for a second. This was my idea. Go out and find new clients and put together a property management company because they know how to do it. They've been doing it for 2-3 years. And then when they get big enough, their former boss will buy it from them because they've just gone out and got 30 new clients for them at their cost. What a deal. What a deal, right? Not a good idea. I think it's a good idea. So, but other companies can do something similar too. They just want to have an opportunity to learn how to work hard, to be productive, to be resilient. One of the things that we're going to see, we haven't seen it yet, because this was the punch in the face for the Gen Zers. Being told you couldn't work, being told you had to wear a mask, being told all this stuff, being scared 24/7 on the news. Scare. You're going to die. Well, you're not. But either way, they have to figure that out themselves. And then now they got to kind of back up, because when you get hit in the face, you got to kind of back up, make sure you're okay, get your head right. And then you either move in slowly or you come up with a strategy to fight. Now, does that always work? No. Because some people, they get hit in the face, they go down, and they splatter. And the pieces go everywhere. Because it's okay to splatter, as long as you keep the pieces close by. Then you pick them up, do it again. But if you splatter everywhere, it's hard to put it back together. It's hard. So that's kind of important, okay? And they're going to have to deal with that resiliency. These Gen Zers especially. They're going to really have to work with that. So now let's look at the next thing. EQ, emotional quotient. I like to call this one seeing the world from the other person's point of view. I think I mentioned earlier that I think, my opinion, that a lot of, we'll call them both, millennials and Gen Z have problems with judgment. They're very judgmental. They don't even want to have a conversation with you unless you see the world their way. I'm not saying they're the only ones who've done this. They're just taking it to another level. Because I believe that EQ is built on understanding people. You become a great emotional leader when you can see the world from the other person's point of view. Not to always agree with it, but to just understand them. Because we all want to be understood and encouraged. That's it. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say that, especially to parents. Ugh. Man, am I glad I'm not a parent today. These guys, they are under so much craziness right now. But they got to figure it out. And it helps to see the world from the other person's point of view. Now, when I tell that to parents, they look at me and they go, I'm not going to do that. They're going to toe the line. I said, okay. Good luck. Good luck. Because it just doesn't work that way anymore. If they know that you understand them, they will embrace you. But you have to genuinely understand them. You have to genuinely see the world the way they do. And you don't disagree with it, because that's worse. Because they know when you're full of baloney. which I see a lot of today. People that are disagreeing with everybody just to get along. Well, at some point that comes crashing down. People want authenticity. Overused word, but it's real. They want real. Okay? They'd rather know where you stand rather than what you're putting up a mask for. So, EQ is pretty important. EQ is pretty important because it allows them to see that world from the other person's point of view. And hopefully to help you be less judgmental, help you to be more kind, because kindness is the key. Kindness is the key to just about everything. Can you overdo it? Sure. If it comes across as not genuine, but opening a door or doing somebody a little favor is no big deal. So it's little things that add up. But if it's just big stuff and it's goofy, they're going to see through it. So that's not what you want to do. All right. So, yeah. So EQ is pretty important. Pretty important. How about, these Gen Zers and millennials? They like to plan ahead. They're a little more visionary. They're not so impulsive. Now, they can be very obsessive about stuff, but they can be a little more impulsive. But they like to plan ahead. They like to kind of know what's going down. They really do. What was I going to say there? Yeah. They, we talked about this a little bit. They are redefining working from home. I mean, working from home has been going on for a long time, but they are now redefining it because of technology, because they understand technology so well. I mean, it's almost like they're just there. It's pretty amazing with Zoom and all these kind of platforms. They're just on top of stuff, and it's pretty exciting too. But at the same time, going back to EQ, they need people. They do. I think that's what's caused a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. These youngsters need people, and when governments keep taking stuff away from, like, we have a governor here that's taking away stuff from youngsters 4th of July weekend because they want to go out and have a good time on the river. And last time I looked, a 6-foot, 10-foot inner tube wasn't that close to somebody. So, but we need that. We need that social interaction for our health, our immune system. And they need it. This generation needs it more than any generation. And so when they don't get it, they can explode like what we've seen here recently. I'm telling you. And I could see that coming. But we need people. We need people. Remember now, this is a generation that didn't grow up with anybody saying no to them. They wanted it, they got it. And they feel they're special and they deserve it. Okay. But the job doesn't work that way. But these other things do to a point. So, but they don't understand unless you're doing a good job of explaining it to them. They don't. They see through things. They have great vision. And so if we're not communicating with them, they're going to take it in their own hands. And that's an emotional, sensitive set of hands. And so that's when you're going to get stuff. It's going to kind of blow up. I wrote something down here, and now I can't read it. Doesn't matter. So let me, I want to finish with something that I share with parents and business owners all the time in my workshops. People don't care what you say to them. People don't care what you do for them. People care deeply with how you make them feel. I want you to think about that for a second, because that's really where we're at right now. That's really where you're at. If you're a parent, if you're a business owner, if you're a startup, if this is you, I mean, hey, I got news for you. I've worked with him. I just talked to a guy 2 weeks ago, 23, and his partner's 22, Gen Z. And I get along great with him, but I understand him. And I was giving him some ideas on how to start his own business. And I mean, he hasn't done it because I made him a little uncomfortable, because he's pretty loyal. Not as loyal. We didn't talk about that. Not as loyal as baby boomers, but more fearful of getting out there. But one of the reasons that he calls me all the time is because whenever he calls me and I answer the phone, my number one goal is I try to make him feel good, compliment him, encourage him. I mean, even if he didn't do it, by this old man telling him he should start his own business, don't tell me he didn't puff his chest up a little bit. Of course he did. He just can't figure out how to do it. He's going to have to pay me for that. But at the same time, if you make people feel good, they remember that. They will be attracted to that. That's just how it works. It works that way with kids as well. I mean, yeah, you can take everything away from them. Take their phone away, take their iPad, their computer, everything. Lock them in their room and throw away the key. So what? They know that's it. That's it, all you can do. So what are you going to do if you break out? I had somebody tell me, it was in New Mexico, that if the kids run away, they just pick them up and bring them home. They didn't do that when I was a kid. But so they know this stuff. They're on to you. They're on to you. So you have to focus on, and it may seem silly, but you have to focus on making them feel good. Even a parent. Hey, look, and I'm not saying giving in to them. I'm saying they want structure. They want boundaries, just like anybody else. But they know that if you do it with love, unconditional love, and care, they won't push back. Okay? But they got to feel that. So when I tell it to parents, they go, oh, I'm not doing that. Okay. You don't have to. But I just want to let you know that that's how it works. All right, guys, listen. Appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Get ready. They're coming. They're here. Gen Z and the millennials, I believe they're 40% of the population right now. No, of the workforce. 40%. In 10 years, they're going to be 60%. Yeah. So they're going to be 60. They're going to be in their 50s, 30s. They're going to be running this stuff. We got to figure this thing out. You really do. All right, guys. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast. #1 internet talk radio talk network. This is Coach Arnie with Health, Love, and Life Show. Appreciate you guys, and I am out of here.